Okay.
That's normal for us.
That's totally normal for us.
I love it, though. I love it. That's why you make a great team, you know?
Yes, we are a fun team. We're a silly team. And we are a team. So hello and welcome back to the Path to Profit podcast. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan with my partner in crime and my soulmate in life, Brad Dobson. The Path to Profit is a company designed for creative entrepreneurs, designers, freelancers, anybody that identifies as creative, because we have kind of crazy brains. And we think we're always right? Don't we think we're always right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. We have an amazing creative woman joining us on the show today, WendyY Bailey. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, it's really
Wonderful.
fun to reconnect with you. It's been a couple of years since we last chatted, and so I'm always delighted to reconnect and chat. So we're going to share a quote of the day, and then Brad's going to share with everybody a little bit more about WendyY, who's a force of nature. You're going to hear that in just a minute. But let me go back and find my quote here. So pretend that every single person you meet has a sign around his or her neck that says, "Make me feel important." Not only will you succeed in sales, you will succeed in life.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mary Kay Ash. Mary Kay was an amazing woman, right? Her story is so powerful. But one of the things we're going to be talking about with WendyY today is sales, because she is the queen of helping people increase their conversion. So super excited to hear more. And why don't you share a little bit about her?
I want to hear more about that too. The conversion part, I think everybody, whether they know it or not, they really want to hear about conversions. Cool. Called a force of nature and a trendsetter in the coaching industry because of her fearless approach to innovation, WendyY Bailey has been supporting entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, trainers, and consultants for 14 years. She's a sought-after coach and sales speaker for her fierce and dynamic dedication to inspiring individuals, groups, and organizations to create extraordinary results. Affectionately called WendyY by her clients, business associates, and colleagues, and me now too, I guess. She is an internationally known thought leader and has made a global impact in coaching as an innovative CEO and mentor coach serving across the U.S. and in countries like the UK and Italy. Welcome again, WendyY.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
No, we're super, super excited to connect with you. I think you're brilliant. I love what you do. I'm a Facebook stalker fan, right?
Awesome. I love it.
Stuff, right? Coming across my feed all the time. And so I would love for you to just take a moment to kind of tell us what's up and what's new and exciting in 2017 for your business.
Wow, there's so many things, Minette. I don't quite know where to begin, but let me just tell you that last year in 2016, I spent most of the year following a rebranding, a relaunching of my business, sort of a retooling of systems and my offering, and narrowing down the focus on what I do. And this year has really turned into, wow, now that I did all of that last year, now I can actually spread my wings and fly in a different way. So this year I'm publishing my first book. I'm also yes, I'm really excited about that. And I'm also hosting my own conference, live event at the end of the year, toward the end of the year. And I'm doing a lot more TV, media, podcasting interviews than I've ever done before. So This year is just exciting for me. It has been, and it continues to be with every day.
More exposure.
Yeah, it sounds like incredible visibility.
Yeah, that was the goal. Last year, it was about a different kind of visibility. And the way that I like to share it is, last year I felt like I was grinding. Like, I don't know if you've heard people use that term.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, I think a lot of people felt like they were grinding.
I don't want to grind anything, like not even coffee or anything. I don't want to do a grind. Like last year, at the end of the year, I was sort of, let me go sit down somewhere. I need to go to bed. I'm tired from all this grinding. And I learned from that, while it was good and productive and it put my new business name on the map, it really told me that that was not what I wanted to do going forward and coming into 2017. And so there are just a lot of things I've changed in the way that I work. For years, you guys, I have battled chronic illnesses off and on throughout the years in my business. And for me, I got to take care of myself before I get into some kind of grind. I can't work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I can't do all-nighters 3 and 4 times a week. That's the kind of stuff I used to do in my business. I didn't do it last year as much.
You don't last very long doing that.
No. You talk about burning the candle at both ends. I was totally doing that. But last year wasn't quite that severe. But I still felt that I was grinding. And it's because once I finished something, I started something else.
Yeah.
Then I finished that and I would start something else. So it was back-to-back launches, back-to-back, let me coordinate this and pull people in. And initially, because I was coming back into the marketplace after being ill, I was a team of 1.
Yeah.
So all of the stuff that behind the scenes stuff that you do to coordinate and connect with people and schedule and all that kind of stuff, I was doing all of that.
Yeah.
So big lesson for me learned from last year. I appreciate that I had the energy to do it because of what it's given me this year. But last year is a year that I don't want to repeat in terms of that grind. This year has been like, I'm working, 25, 30 hours a week, and I'm leisurely working. I'm taking lots of naps, and I'm just loving it. It's just a great time in my business.
Well, and we certainly found, and I'm sure you did, that you can bring so much more of your best self to your clients and to your your audience when you're rested that way.
Yeah.
Especially as a coach, you just simply cannot do it if you're grinding at the same time.
Yeah.
Or you can, but you're not giving them what
the
giving
best.
the world what you're meant to give them.
Yeah. Your best gifts. The thing that I'm always reminded of is the Steven Covey story about sharpening the saw.
Yes.
And I've been sharing it a couple of times. Most people don't remember it, but he tells a story in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People about these 2 lumberjacks, and they were in a competition to see who could cut down the most trees. And, they both started off and they were going and going. And every so often, one lumberjack would look over and he would see the other lumberjack just sort of sitting around. And they got, to the end of the road, and the other guy is the one who had the most trees. And he said, well, wait a minute. Every time I looked at you, you were sitting down. How did you manage to cut down more trees than I did? And he said, it was because you didn't see me just sitting down. I was sharpening my saw.
Yeah.
And I think that we as entrepreneurs, and like you said, especially as coaches, have to sharpen the saw so that we can serve in a much bigger way our clients.
I love that. What a great story. And if you see me, if you're watching the video and I'm looking down, I'm learning how to do visual note taking. So I'm actually taking fun little notes so that I can share with everybody all these brilliant nuggets that WendyY is sharing, including that awesome sharpening the saw story. And I'm already having so many takeaways from, I love the no more grinding.
Yeah.
Right. And that bringing more ease into our business.
Actually, our sales coach, because we follow her on Facebook. She's a good friend. And I think it was a few months back, she posted, I'm sick and tired of seeing these posts about how hard I should be grinding. And I knew who she was talking about. I said, what, you're fed up with Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, he's his own personality, though. Gary V just, he's got his own perspective of the world, I think.
He is. But there's something to the part about he's telling the truth about how much time and effort it takes, right? And he put the work in, especially in the beginning. He put the work in.
Paid the dues.
Last year, you put the work in, right? And now you get to reap the benefits, right? You don't get to start by taking naps every day unless you really need the naps. It's okay to take naps, but you have to compensate for that at other parts of the day, right? So
I totally agree.
The lifestyle that you want, but you still got to put the time in. And I think people forget this.
Yeah, and let me say too that, and you're probably like this too, when you've been in business as long as I've been, you said 14, but this is actually my 15th year in business. And when you've put in those kind of long hours early on, no matter what happens, what I've discovered is I've become sort of a workhorse, which means I can get a lot more done in an hour than most people can get done in a day. Yeah. So working, 25, 30 hours a week is easy because I'm so productive.
Right.
So productive. But that comes from years of experience, years of, doing it. And I know it's my superpower. One of my big superpowers is creating content on a dime.
Right.
Like somebody
but becoming a workhorse is not the same as grinding.
No.
Right? So
No,
can
not
you
at
maybe
all.
define a little bit that focus on productivity piece and what you're doing? Sorry, you had a question in there too.
Well, I was going to segue this actually into the conversion question, because you can put all those hours and work hard and get your business launched, but unless you figure out how to convert things better, you're always going to be working too hard.
Yeah. I call it working harder, not smarter.
Yep.
Like, I know that's a cliche, but it works, because when you're productive in your work, and this is tying both of your questions together, when you're productive in your work, then you can do a lot in a short period of time. And then you can focus on your gifts and serving your clients in a big way. And when you have service as a part of your sales conversations, conversion is easy.
I love that. It's so what we believe too. And if I remember from our last conversation, you are also the queen of systems and processes.
Right? I don't know about the queen. I do believe in processes and systems.
Yeah, but you love them way more than I do. I remember that.
That's why she has me.
Yeah, you're the tech guy. You're the one who puts on the tech hat and does stuff.
Also,
right?
the systems part.
Yeah.
She's
He creates the systems. I create the chaos and he makes them into systems.
I love it. Well, there are two reasons for having systems and processes, and me being what you refer to as the queen. Years ago, I'm a single mom and have been since my son's birth. He's now a 27-year-old man thriving as a citizen of the planet, which I'm very, very proud of. It's my greatest accomplishment.
Aww.
When he was 4, he was diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And what most people don't understand is ADHD, unlike ADD, it's sort of a first cousin, has a more hyperactivity component to it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he had to go on medication at that early age, and that's fine. He was on it for years while he was in school and not on it during the summer. And as a parent, I had to go into behavior management training, so to speak. I had to learn how to put in systems for him and establish some routine and some regimented, activities for him, because that structure is what helped him to thrive. Yeah. Medication was part of that. Quick example, when he was I want to say he was in like the 6th grade, he was really struggling in math. And it was because, when they give you a worksheet of problems, it's a lot of problems on one page. Yeah. So what we decided to do was fold his page in quarters and let him work on a couple of problems at a time, or one at a time. And then he was able to be like a whiz in math, like amazing in math, once we broke it down in that way. So that the experience of working with my son as he was growing with ADHD and learning in elementary education helped me to see systems and processes a different way. Nice. The second reason I'm very aware of systems and processes, in my former life in corporate management, I managed a couple of processes within a telecommunications company. And when you're managing processes, you really do get to see how to tweak certain things and make them better. And it's sort of this process engineering, that's really what I'm talking about. And you get to really look at them in a different way. Unfortunately, the processes I managed specifically were problem management and root cause analysis. Now, I won't get into all the technical details about that, but let me just say that problem management is looking at how the software is working, and if something breaks, knowing what broke and how to fix it. Root cause analysis was very appropriately partnered with that process, because in looking at the problems, I needed to know exactly the cause. I needed to know if it was people, if there was something in the code that wasn't working, if it was something in the overall process. So, again, not to get too technical, and, I see your eyes kind of glazing over.
Well, you're speaking his language because he worked in telecom for 15 years, so he totally gets
so
it.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, but, when you do that kind of work, you become aware of what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
Quick story. Recently, I put together a blogging challenge, 5 days, really simple. But in planning for it, I started it because I wanted to blog more. I made a commitment at the beginning of the year that I wanted to blog on a consistent basis. So every time I had an idea about what I wanted to do in the challenge, I put it into a document. I put everything into a document. When I thought about something, I thought about a resource, I put it into the document. When I thought about something I wanted to say, I put it into the document. And that became the planning guide for my challenge.
Nice.
So when I was ready to actually begin promoting it and actually delivering the challenge, I went into that document and I organized what was there. So it was very easy for me to see, okay, here's what people need to have before they begin the challenge. These are the prerequisites. This is what I want to do on the kickoff call. Here are the assignments and the resources that go with them. Here, everything was in the document. So organizing it was very, very easy. Now, I share that story because I've never done it like that before. Like I've always just kind of been, let me write it in my notes, or let me
sticky notes.
Exactly. And having it in that one document and sort of out of my head was just phenomenal in terms of how the challenge went. I didn't feel stressed at all about each and every day's assignments. It just really made a difference. And I could tell that other people within the challenge were going, wow, this is really good stuff. Can I ask a question here? Or can I do this? And I rolled that back into the document as well. And then the last thought about that planning guide was it became the completion bonus for the people who completed the challenge. They received the planning guide that had all of my notes, all of my brain fodder and everything in it.
Wow.
So, it's a great way to build content and create a structure around any activity or any project.
Yeah.
See, honey, I told you.
No, it's good. And I also love, I know.
I love it.
I get it. But what I love, so one of my favorite mantras I tell my clients all the time is create once, think multiple uses. Mm-hmm. And so that's a brilliant example of repurposing your content and turning it into something super valuable for all these new people and moving them one step closer to doing business with you by giving them your best stuff.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
I love it, don't you?
I do. I love it. And I love you. And so I would love to shift the conversation and let's talk about your new book, because I really want people to hear about this, hear about how it's this beautiful kind of coming to this new brand place, right? It's like the launch of everything in a really beautiful way. So tell us about your book.
Well, let me just say that I've always wanted to write a book. And in 15 years, I've tried once and failed to complete once. So that book is on my list of books that will come out. But the first book that I have, I've got like a list of 5 books that I'm actually writing to release over the next 18 months or so, something like that. But the first book is a brand book. It's called Business Beyond Limits.
Also the name of your business.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry. Business Beyond Limits. That's okay. And the subtitle is 7 Simple Strategies for Creating a Highly Profitable Business. Nice. Now, it came about because I was, again, working on a different book last year. And I had the great fortune to go to the International Coach Federation Midwest Conference in June last year in Indianapolis. And they drew names for someone who would spend time with Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. And if you don't know who he is, he's like one of the top thought leaders in the world. He's a 15-time New York Times bestselling author. Nice. And I won the ticket. Like I won the session with Marshall. Whoop, whoop. And I was like, I don't ever win anything, you guys. Like, I promise you, I'm one of those people that sits and goes, yay, they won. I didn't win again, but I won. And I was just like, I literally leapt out of my chair when they called my name.
Nice.
And I had lunch with him. And as we were talking, and he asked me about my mission, and I couldn't rattle it off quickly enough for him. So he was like, you need to fix that. You need to know what your mission is and be able to rattle it off.
Nice.
And we talked about the book I was working on at the time. And he said, yeah, that's a good book, but you need a brand book. I was like, okay, I need a brand book. And at the time I thought, well, maybe I can just shift this into being more of a brand book. And the more and more I thought about it, the more it just didn't happen. Part of what I did when I was on my grind last year was I did a lot of master classes on a webinar platform. I did master classes, and each one of them, if you know me, I'm like a domain junkie. So each one of them had their own domain name. The page was set up on my website, my primary website, but the domain names were there. So I ended up delivering all total. I won't tell you the real number.
Oh, come on. We want to
Okay.
hear from the .com junkie.
Yeah, I ended up doing about 30 something master classes.
Wow.
And that includes a live one, a live encore of the same one. But I ended up doing that and a couple of series, and I ended up just having a ton of content around that. So when I walked into this year, remember, I was like, okay, I don't want to be on the grind. I want to make it really useful, purposeful, whatever I do. I want to work in my gifts. I want to take care of myself, number one. When I looked at all of that, the book that I had been working on last year didn't follow what I wanted to do. Yeah, I can complete it and I will, but it's not the brand book. I also met with a media coach earlier this year, and she said, well, you can't get any media appearances out of that book. It's just
the first idea.
The other one. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because the context of it was really narrow. It's sort of like me saying, Minette, you're a coach, so I'm going to write something specifically to you.
Right.
But I can't go on national television and write something that's for you.
Yeah.
Right. I need to write something that has more of a mass appeal.
Right.
So once I had that conversation with her, I was like, okay, I'm done. I just need to do the brand book. And the brand book became—
Isn't that funny how many times you have to kind of hit over the head with that idea before you commit to doing it?
It takes some time sometimes, you know what I mean? You got to hear it in different ways. I kind of think of it as me telling my son, do this, don't do this. And he kind of looks at me like I have three heads. And then some stranger says, do this and don't do that. And he goes, Mom, look at what they told me. It was just the most amazing thing. And I'm like, didn't I tell you that like 2 years ago?
Like 10 times. Yes.
Exactly. Sometimes you need to hear it over and over again.
Yeah.
But what was cool about making the shift from the book from last year that I was working on to creating a real brand book was I was able to look at all of those master classes that I created. The content was already there, and craft my chapters in my book around those master classes. Remember, I've got the domain names and I named them appropriately because of that. So there are chapters in there like Mindset is Everything, which is my personal mantra.
Nice.
Transform your tribe, monetize your influence, master your significance. All of those were the domain names, but they were also the names of the master classes that I could literally pull content from and pour straight into a book.
Perfect.
Nice. I love that. I did the same thing with my last two books were both just from my blog content.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Now I have a different book for my blog content. Since I've been blogging, at one point I had read something earlier in the year and it was old information, but it said you need to blog about 7 times a week. So I was like, I'm going to blog 7 times a week. I'm going to blog. And then I went, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah. Not unless you're Seth Godin. That's
yeah. But Seth has a machine behind him, I'm sure.
Yes.
Someone who is reviewing what he writes and tweaking it and posting it and adding the photos. Well, I'm doing all of that myself.
Right.
So, I can't produce it that quickly. The other thing I learned, and this is one of those systems kind of things, the other thing I discovered is that that doesn't really drive organic traffic the way that it used to.
The blogging?
The blogging doesn't drive it as much. You just got to pay for advertising on social media. You've got to partner on some of the sharing sites. You've got to do some other strategic things if you really want to get traffic to your blog. It's not always about how often you blog. It's about the quality of your content.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how that's really shifted in the marketplace since blogging started. It used to be easier to get that traffic. And I think people's mindset hasn't caught up with the reality, and we're finding the same thing and really looking at paid traffic. In fact, we listened to an incredible podcast from a couple out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
They were out of Kentucky on the Smart Passive Income podcast, and they were talking specifically about how they use paid traffic successfully. And it's just brilliant, but it is an art, right? It's an art and a science. So I personally, I don't know about you, I'm a big fan of hiring someone to help me figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That we don't have to figure all this stuff out by ourselves.
Yeah, I keep telling myself more than anyone else, I'm the talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm the person who's out front and center.
Yes.
Somebody else needs to be doing all of that back end stuff. Even though I know how to do it, that's not the best use of my time, skills, and energy to do it.
It's a great way to put it, because you do know how to do it and you understand the strategy behind it, right? I had someone say one time, don't hire out this stuff if you don't understand the strategy, because you don't know what you're hiring for, right? You don't know if they're doing their job. So it's such a fine line, right? Between knowing when to hire, who to hire, how to hire. We could have a whole conversation around team, right? That would be a different conversation. I'm curious about two things. So first, what is a brand book? How would you define that for our listeners? And second, what's in the book?
Okay. A brand book, according to Marshall, and he told me I could call him that and I could drop his name as often as I like. So I do. But a brand book is one that really speaks to your overall presence in the marketplace. You know, what you want to be known for, what you want people to see you as qualified to work in, to be the expert about, the subject matter expert about. A brand book really does sort of put you on the map from a branding perspective. And what most people don't understand, everybody's writing a book these days, but the book isn't about selling books. It really is about lending credibility to your expertise.
Positioning.
Say it again?
Positioning.
Exactly. So when you write a brand book, you're putting your brand in the marketplace in yet another way. Your website does that, your blog does that, your videos, your speaking engagements, all of that is part of your overall brand. Yeah. And the brand book is just one of many tools that will lend credibility to your expertise and your brand in the marketplace.
And it's such a great way to establish instant credibility and authority, right? So it's really helpful. But I love that perspective of a brand book versus a how-to book, which the other book would have been a how-to book.
Exactly.
Right? So if someone were to go get this book today, what would be some of the nuggets that they would learn from your book?
Well, the first nugget I kind of alluded to earlier, one of the very first chapters is mindset is everything. And it's because we think that if we just go and enroll in this new program or, attach ourselves to this other great expert or do something in the way of tweaking our website or our blog, that's going to change everything and people will flock to us and spend money to hire us. That's the farthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
Being able to see your value and what you bring to your clients and to the marketplace is the beginning of accelerating your income. It's the beginning of raising your fees. It's the beginning of selling more. It's the beginning of getting out and being more visible in how you can support and serve your most ideal clients.
So that was a great tweetable, by the way.
Thank you.
So being able to see your value is the beginning of accelerating your income.
Yep. Don't you love that?
I do love that.
And it just poured out of my head. Like, that's not one of my sound bites.
It
may be going forward. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
But it makes a difference, and it's a personal mantra for me, because I know that the first couple of years I was in business, I got to tell you guys, I was scared of everything. I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to succeed. I was afraid of how people would see something or what they would think about me. I was scared of everything. There was a lot of fear for me those first couple of years. And, here I am, fast forward, 15, 13 years later. And what I realize is that it's not what happens to you. And this is somebody else's quote. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond to what happens to you that makes a difference.
Oh, that's
about your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally about your mindset.
Yeah.
I've tried on at least two previous occasions to create a live conference, and I just was not able to do it. And this time it's been like smooth sailing. And I keep saying that, but then I think about it and I'm like, well, I did have that kind of little bump, and I did have that kind of experience. And what I realize is that I'm in a different place with my mindset, which is why there's this little thing that happens and I roll over it like a speed bump. It's not like something that stops me dead in my tracks. That's about mindset. And so increasing your fees, making more money, selling more is about mindset. In the book, in that particular chapter, I spend a lot of time talking about mindset. Quick story. There was a young lady who was just getting started in her business, service provider, entrepreneurial, but she has a full-time job. And she was in one of my signature programs, Rapid Coaching Income. And she kept saying to me, you keep talking about mindset, and I just don't get why that has anything to do with what I'm doing in my business or how I'm going to do it. And I kept saying, okay, just stay with me. I think at one point you'll get it. So she said she got it during the program, but I think when we got to the end, she still really didn't get it, because about 6 or 8 months later, she sent me a message on Facebook and she said, you know what? I got it. I really understand it now.
Nice.
And, I didn't know what you were saying in the program, but I trusted you. So I just went along with whatever, but now I really understand. And I think that was right before she actually got her first big gig in her business. She's still working full time and has her business part time, but that helped her tremendously to see the impact of mindset.
Yeah, I mean, we have it in our tagline. Mindset's part of, we just see this, we see it in ourselves, ramping up our own business. We see it in all of our clients. It is a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. And it's doubly challenging because we work mainly with women, and in a lot of cases, they have a lot of their own personal mindset issues to overcome, independent of the business. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't have the skills yet to say, well, I can't charge X dollars. But then even before they get to that, they have self-confidence issues and other things like that. And a lot of mindset about being more visible. Tremendous hurdles to overcome. Yeah. It's a lot.
I will tell you, I thought I was so-called cured of the mindset issues. And I was talking to,
funny.
You know what I mean? I thought, oh, I got this. I know mindset is everything. I know how to work on my mindset. I'm the mindset lady. I can do this. And the other day, last week, I was talking to one of the speakers for my event. And I was explaining my vision. Like I was sharing, this is what I want to do. And this is how it's going to look. And this is what, I want you to do. And I said to her, this is not going to be the WendyY Dog and Pony show. And she was like, well, yes, it is. And why wouldn't it be? And I stopped and I went, thank you for saying that. Mm-hmm. Because I've somehow been trying to discount my role in this and what my role really is. Notice earlier that I said I'm the talent. Last week, I wouldn't have said that. But after the conversation with my speaker and that just, quick coaching moment, I get it. And I'm okay that it is about me. And I'm okay that it is the WendyY Dog and Pony show. And I'm okay, that I'm the talent, and I'm okay. But mindset affects everything. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what's in the book. That's one of the first chapters. I also get into some of the strategies around the impact or the reach you want to have in the marketplace.
Nice.
Most of us think that it's about appealing to the masses. And rather than appealing to the masses, it's about appealing to a select group of a few.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I like to think of it, and I'm a soapbox person when it comes to that, is your ideal client.
Yep.
Looking at knowing just one ideal client and then serving a sea of those one ideal clients. They look the same.
It's like me. It's my soapbox too.
Yeah.
Oh,
They look the same.
Thank you. So it's like we want people to get this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important that they get it. I don't care if they get it from you, from me, or someone else, but they need to get this. And yet creatives in particular really resist.
Yeah. It's because they somehow think they're leaving somebody out, or they won't be able to work with enough people. So there's a scarcity mindset associated with not being clear on one.
Yes.
But when you know that there's a sea of the same SEA, the same people out there that look just like this one, you really do get it. Like the light goes on in your brain, because then you can say, oh, well, where am I going to see? And I say, give her a name. Figure out where Susie plays. Figure out what activities Susie is engaged in. Figure out what Susie likes to read.
Yeah.
Figure out who Susie hangs out with. And then you can actually go to those spaces and places and connect with her. Mm-hmm. And because you're naturally attractive, she's going to want to know more about you and how you can support her, and ultimately to hire you. She's going to want to hire you.
Because you get her, right? Because you speak her language, and it's, and I think when we're really honest with ourselves, we don't want to work with everybody. We want to work with a few select, beautiful people.
Right.
So I love all these great tips. We're running out of time. We could stay clearly and chat with you all day long. Anything you want to add?
I wanted to hear a little bit about her event that's coming up.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for asking. Play Bigger Now 2017 is a 2.5 day. Thank you. It's a 2.5 day sales and marketing conference. So it's about getting sales tips and strategies. It's training more than it's a motivational. Yeah, we're going to do some rah-rah and have some fun and even do a little dancing. But the idea is not about motivating you to go home and not know what you learned. Yeah. It's about implementation and activation. So the sales training that I'm going to be giving, along with some of my speakers supporting topics around selling, is all about activation and implementation. So that's what makes it a unique event. And I'm just so excited about who's going to be there.
And where's it going to be?
It's in Atlanta, October 20th through the 22nd. It starts on Friday, which is the 20th, with a half-day VIP day. Nice. And there's an amazing luncheon speaker, Melanie Dewberry, who's going to be coming in and talking about the power of naming and the integrity in naming. Melanie is a part Indian, Native American. Let me make sure I'm politically correct. She's part Native American, so she's her philosophy of life and business is really about tapping into the ancestry of the elders. Nice. And understanding what those strategies are. So she's going to be sharing a keynote message on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'll be doing a lot of the training. Then I have a speaking coach who's going to be talking about rocking the stage. And I'll just say this, there's an exclusive digital swag bag that includes more than 4,000 presentation dollars worth of
So where can people go? Where can people go to learn more?
Thank you. Playbiggernow2017.com.
Awesome. Playbiggernow2017.com. And where can we go to get your book?
You can go to businessbeyondlimits.com/book.
That's easy. Awesome. Wendy, thank you so much for your time today. We're so appreciative of your genius, of your gifts, of your talents, and we will put everything in the show notes to make sure that people know where to go to get more and hopefully go and play with you live in Atlanta in October. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure.
Fun.
And we're Brad and Minette on the Path to Profit podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.